Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Growth Execution podcast. We are here every week with a great entrepreneur who's going to share their tips, tricks for how to build, launch, and grow your business. Delighted to be joined this week by Nathan Bynum of Lemon Launch. Nathan, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you, Mal?
Yeah, really well indeed. Listen, thanks so much for making time. So I wanted to start off, first of all, with the question we ask everybody who joins us here. How did you get going? What was your kind of driver to launch your own business?
So my entrepreneurial journey, I guess, really started when I was 6 years old. Different company now. I didn't actually have a company then, but we had just moved over to...
Most 6-year-olds do.
Yeah.
So what was it back then?
We had just moved over to Hungary in Eastern Europe, and we downloaded a widget onto our family desktop, and it showed like the different currency exchange rates, and like from Hungarian forints, Bulgarian stutinkis, Czech crowns. Those are the places that we traveled the most. And I would look at those and memorize those every day. And then I would imagine like how much I would have made if I had traded different currencies at different times. And I was like, man, I'm a genius. Like, I'm the only one that's thought about this, which I'm sure I'm not, but just that's when that mindset started. And then it wasn't until like the fourth grade, I started actually selling some candy on the playground and started like chewing gum in front of people to drive up the demand. And then that was my first like taste of like actually making money from my ideas. And then later on, I wound up doing some drop shipping, and I started a website for the local artisans where I live now in Florida, and then for them to have a place to sell. And then I wound up last year writing a book on goal setting, and then creating a website around that to help entrepreneurs to reach their goals by creating websites for themselves, and then to monetize that with affiliate marketing in areas that they're already an expert in.
Fantastic. Listen, there's so much to unpack there. You have been very, very busy over time, and congratulations on all you've done. I mean, just going back to that sort of, like you've kind of identified as the mindset. Clearly, you've got a brain that lends itself to kind of commerce and finding profitability. What happens, or how would you kind of get somebody who is an entrepreneur to kind of focus in on that, and perhaps to really step up their own sort of business mindset? Is it something you can learn?
I absolutely think it's something that you can learn. I've seen different people who have been years in the corporate world and then transition later on because they see a demand that they're able to fill in a better way that they see any other companies doing it, or they're just passionate about something and they start out not even attempting to monetize it, but then just like starting a blog and just trying to educate people because it's something that they're interested in. They're documenting their own experiences, learning that, and then developing that sales part in the end. So I think it is definitely something that can be learned. It's not something that you just have to be born with the DNA for.
Brilliant. But that passion and that real kind of focus on something that means something to you, that's the kind of core of it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And for you, I mean, obviously you've kind of gone through a number of different sort of iterations. What drives you?
One thing that I've realized whenever I was writing my book on goal setting that was helping me was to figure out what made me the happiest looking back on my different years, which wound up boiling down to the core fundamental of like helping people. And from that, I wanted to figure out a way that I could use skills that I already had, because I worked for the city that I was living in, doing their website. And so figuring out how to kind of mesh that with helping people with the entrepreneurial aspect of it, and just figuring out like the Venn diagram of what you're passionate about and what you're good with. And that's how I wound up deciding on that.
Brilliant, fantastic. And I guess over time you'll have received a lot of advice and perhaps you've generated your own. What's one piece of advice that you kind of live by that you'd share with our listeners?
Well, one thing that I keep going back to and thinking back on is looking at what we see as our weaknesses as our assets. And what I mean by that is just like shifting our perspective, because starting out as young as I have, like I'm 25 now, and I was writing my book last year when I was 24.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a lot of self-doubt about my age because of that. And I was talking to John Davis, the corporate action hero. He was telling me that what I'm looking at as my biggest weakness is actually my biggest asset, because I'm in a position that a lot of people are not in. I'm starting out younger, so I'm able to kind of learn as I'm going more and document what I'm doing in the process. And I'm not that far removed from like 4 years ago when I first started developing websites. So just really, I guess the biggest advice is looking at what you think as your biggest weakness and finding ways to make that an asset for you. Like, I'm not advocating for not improving in different areas, but ones that you can't change, looking for ways that you can leverage those.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful, because as you say, from some of your age going through what you're doing, is that there will be others, coming along younger than you at the same age as you, who are looking for a template and a model that shows that it's possible. And I guess that's you and your book show that way, right?
I think so.
Brilliant.
That's my hope.
Congratulations on that. Is there somebody that you kind of look up to as a sort of a kind of role model, somebody sort of inspiration for?
Yeah, my entrepreneurial role model really is John Lee Dumas, and I think that he does it the best in what I've seen, because from his book, I think it's The Common Path to Uncommon Success. In that, he talks about just like lays out the foundation of how he has gotten to his multi-million-dollar business a year, but how he figured out what threshold he wanted to get to beforehand, which is huge in the figuring out like what your goals are and being happy at the end of that goal, figuring out like what you want instead of just keeping on wanting more. But he has his entrepreneurial life balanced with his family life, and he was able to gear that towards that, because that was one of the things on the outset that I'd been around a lot of people and seen a lot of people who have had that balance skewed. And just one of those limiting beliefs in my head in the beginning was like, oh, well, if I want to be an entrepreneur, then it's going to be sacrificing like any time with friends or family. But just seeing him doing that so well has been an inspiration to me.
That's so powerful, because as you know, there are so many people for whom it is one or the other. Actually, if I choose to spend time here, then it's a binary choice. So actually having that as part of the goals at the outset can really make a difference. Yeah. And I guess, obviously, in terms of where you are from an age perspective rather than necessarily in business, do you see things, you think, differently from a technological point of view than some of others that have been in businesses, in terms of where they are in their career as well?
I think so, because people who have been in business for decades, they have kind of systems in place that they were used to, with like the different documentations and different, like maybe more of the rudimentary softwares. And I know that a lot of them are developing as it goes. But I think that, I guess, an advantage that I have is just the coming into it where it's already developed so much. And especially like last year, whenever COVID hit, like the technology world just advanced so rapidly, so quickly. And so just like coming in the past like couple of years, just looking and being able to have that integrated already and have all the things, kind of seeing them in a fresh perspective, just like looking at them as they are now rather than before, like a lot of business was automated. So I guess in that way, I do have a different perspective on that.
Brilliant. And one of the questions we always ask is what do you wish you knew when you started out that you know now? Is there something that kind of springs to mind for you?
Yeah, so for me, it took a while to figure out what the best softwares were, what the best things were to develop websites, because you get bombarded with so many ads. Like if you just like talk about to one of your friends close enough to your phone, then about building a website, then you're gonna get tons of ads on that. So
It's so annoying, isn't
it
it?
is. And so just like knowing beforehand before having to like search through everything and test everything out, because I like to know that I'm doing things the best way. So I was like testing everything, testing the different softwares, researching it, talking to different people who had experiences with different ones, different content management systems and everything. So if I had already had that all laid out for me, then I would have been a lot quicker to getting my businesses started. So I guess that's one of the big things.
So you've gone through all that pain so other people don't have to.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much. Very good, yeah.
Of course.
So what do you see are kind of the common mistakes that entrepreneurs make when they're looking at their website and thinking about what to do with it?
I think one of the common mistakes is just having somebody develop it for them and having just like a set idea, set specific, very detailed niche before they start kind of investigating it for themselves, because 90% of entrepreneurs, startups fail, and 42% of that is because of a bad product market fit. And so that's one reason that I advocate for people trying to do it themselves, because they're able to kind of test and pivot as they're going along, and they're able to look at what kind of general niches that they're wanting to serve, because they probably have a passion for something in a general area. And so just going into different places, like I went into different Facebook groups and different like LinkedIn groups, comments on YouTube videos that are near my niche, and different, even like on Amazon, the good reviews, I looked at like what were common themes, common pain points that people were happy to have solved. And then the negative reviews, like what people were lacking in different areas and wanting solutions for. So I think one of the big problems that people have is just like having this idea set in stone before they have it proven. So just like having that concept and looking to the people that you're wanting to serve and finding whatever that specific transformation is, because when it boils down to it, any products or services that we're going to be selling, there needs to be a transformation for those people who are purchasing it. So just finding that transformation before they go and invest heavily in a website, that's important.
No, I think that's such good advice, because as you say, you know, people that product market fit is difficult. It takes time. And a lot of people will dive in and say, right, I know the solution. I know this is the answer to everything, and roll and spend quite some time and quite some money on putting that out there, when actually it's a little bit different to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. And what do you think for you and as you look forwards again, kind of like looking the next 5-10 years or so, what's your plan? Where are your goals? You write about goals a lot. What's yours?
Well, I have kind of a few, but I guess like the main one for my company is just like helping. I have it written down, like helping 500,000 people in the next 5 years, and just being able to transfer like some kind of benefit to them, whether it's through like blogs on the website or through podcasts or through whatever means. I just want to know that I've been able to help make an impact in people's lives, because I think that entrepreneurs, like they have so much potential to change the world. And so just like having that ripple effect on people is just like the main focus for me in whatever ways that I can accomplish that. That's my big 5 years goal.
Wow, listen, that's a great one. And you're speaking to a believer here, and I'm sure many people listening out there will start ticking off your numbers as well towards that big goal for yourself. So listen, Nathan, thanks so much for spending time today. I wonder if people want to know more about you and what you do, where can they reach you?
Yeah, they can go to my website, lemonlaunch.com. And if they are listening to this and interested in creating a website for themselves, I created a freebie for them, and it's the website and then /2-hour website. And that walks them through the whole process for themselves so that they can get rid of those excuses of starting up their own websites.
That's so useful. And thank you so much for that and for sharing it. And thanks again for your time today. Really, really, really great to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
Genuine pleasure. That was Nathan Bynum of Lemon Launch. Obviously, if you want to catch up with him, go to his website, lemonlaunch.com. That's it for us this week at the Growth Execution Podcast. Thanks so much for listening in. We'll be back next week with another great entrepreneur to teach you even more hints and tips and tricks on how to build, launch, and grow your business. Till then, have a great growth week, and we will see you then.